So for capitalism and every system based on exploitation and oppression, the only kinds of ideas it can produce and the kinds of ideas it promotes as the ruling ideas are, not surprisingly, ideas that justify all this exploitation and oppression, that teach people that this is the natural order of things, and that encourage people to try to become big dogs in this dog-eat-dog world. If this kind of world, this kind of system, if this were all that is possible, that'd be one thing. And you see people, even those who are brutally oppressed under this system, as long as they believe this is the only kind of world that's possible, you see them going along with this all the time. I got to get mine. I got to get what I can get within this. It's time to get yours. This reminds me of the story of the prisons in California, and in particular what was called the Corcoran Shoe, where the guards there would take prisoners and they'd tell them stories about each other, get them angry at each other, and they'd literally put them in pens like in the old Roman Colosseum, and they'd let them out of the pens and they'd come in and start fighting with each other, sometimes to the death. And the guards would be standing above watching all this, laughing and betting on the outcome, and if it got out of hand, they'd shoot one or more of the prisoners. This was a whole scandal that finally broke into the open in the California prisons. Well, if you just look from inside that, here you are, and the door opens and you run out in this arena and you start throwing hands and everything else you can with the other person who's there, you might say, I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm handling this situation. But if you back the camera up a little bit and look at the larger picture, what's happening? You're being handled. You're being put in this horrible situation by these people standing above you, laughing, betting, and ready to kill you if they see it in their interest. And that's a miniature picture, a microcosm, as they say, of what the world is like today and the way that people get caught up in going along with this. You hear these people say, I'm on this corner selling my product. I'm regulating the corner. You ain't regulating shit. You're just being regulated. You're just being put there and allowed to be there as long as what you're doing serves the people who really regulate things, who really run this system, for as long as it serves them or doesn't get in their way. You hear people say, sometimes they get caught up in all this stuff about the hood. This is our hood. Can't nobody come in here and take over our hood. This is not your hood. You don't own this. You don't run it. You don't control it. The people who own it and run it and control it are just using you. They're just letting you be played like this and carry on with all this foolishness and dangerous stuff, killing each other off because it serves their interests, while they're keeping you in these miserable conditions, not really different than the prisoners in the Corcoran Shoe. It makes me think of a situation where you walk into a scene where there's a man got a gun in one hand and a big club in the other, and he's got everybody lined up. And he goes down the line breaking everybody's legs. And somebody jumps up and says, all right, Dan, I'm going to be the baddest broke-leg motherfucker there is. Something's wrong here. What we need to be doing is saying, hey, that man's breaking everybody's legs. Let's get together and stop that motherfucker from breaking everybody's legs. Now, I understand how people try to make the best of their circumstances. They say, you didn't give me nothing else, you didn't leave me nothing else, so I'm going to take this, and at least this way I can get some respect before I go out. So we can understand this. But again, let's step back and look at the larger picture, the larger world. Because we, the masses of people, are capable of much greater things than this. We are capable of completely and radically changing our circumstances, changing all of society to get rid of circumstances like these. What happens in the world affects us, and we can affect the world. And when all is said and done, we can change the whole world together with people like us all over the world.